Okay, so we've got a Carl challenge for you this week, which means it's all about the NBA again. So we've got a travel distance matrix, which if I just show you how that looks, it's basically you've got all of the teams that we're traveling from and all the cities that we're traveling to, sorry, and the times that between those two locations. So what we're going to want to do to make this more usable, more prep friendly, we're going to pivot that data. And the way that I went about pivoting that, basically we want to drag in every field that is not the from to. And I didn't want to have to do every single one individually, so I used a wildcard search for the letter A because I know that that isn't in my from to, and that got me a large chunk of the cities. Then I did have to drag in the remaining few. And that gets all pivoted and nice, and we just rename those to, from, and travel times. And then we have to do a little bit of cleaning up to get this string field into a numeric field for the number of minutes. So the way that I did that, I created an hours field. I used a little bit of regex. So the way that this works, I'm just going to zoom in on that, is that we have our regex extract function, and we're saying, hey, take anything that comes before the letter H. And the way that that works is if there isn't an H, it will return null. If there are H's, then it will only return the numbers before the H. So that's doing exactly what we want it to do. So then we have our hours, we replace any of those nulls by 0, and then we change that into being a number so that we can work with it. We then do a similar thing for the minutes. So the difference here is that we are saying, okay, so our minutes, there might be a space in front of our minutes because sometimes we might have hours and minutes in our data, but other times we might just have minutes. So the question mark there means yes, there might not always be a space there, but that's what we might want to look for. And then we want any digits that come before an M, the letter M. And the \d is just an important qualifier there to only bring back numbers, so we don't get everything before the M, because we don't want like the 1H space. We just want the 2 digits before the M, or 1 or 2 digits. And that works for us nicely. We do a similar thing with replacing the nulls by zeros and changing it to be a number. And then we just do a nice simple hours times by 60 plus the minutes. And then we have our travel time field, and we just get rid of the extra ones. So that's all nice and usable now. Now we go on to looking at our league teams. So I've gone about this in a slightly different way to what I know the solution will be, but that's the great thing about prep. We can always approach things in different ways. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to get a row for every single match that happens. I don't know if you call baseball games matches, maybe every game. There we go. So what we do first of all is we need to get from our team, we need to get the city that's associated with it in order to do this joining later on. And the way to do that is I split this field using a custom split it on a space and took the last field. So that gives us this column here. And then I replace anything in my team. In my team field, I replace that last value with nothing basically, so that we just get the city names, because sometimes you have one word, sometimes you need to have 2 words, etc. and so forth. So that's why I don't do just a clean split and then be done with it. I also have to do that replacing. So then we get our city names that will help us with our joining later. But first of all, I want to create that distinction between where we have the own conference or the opposing conference. So I join on for the same conference, and in that case, I need to do a join which is both on the conference equal to the conference, so this is for their own conference, but I also want to include this condition where the team isn't equal to the team, because I don't want to have anyone playing themselves, because that doesn't make any sense. And then similarly for the different conference, I just use a join clause where I say that the conference doesn't equal the conference. And I don't have to worry about that team clause because they're in different conferences anyway, so that will never happen. So I make those joins, and then I do a little bit of cleaning just to name everything a bit differently. So I say name the away city, home team, away team, and have the conference there. And similarly here as well. And I union those two back together. So now we have a data set of 870 rows, and I just have each of the matches that will get played, sorry, the games that will get played between those teams. So then I just want to do a join where I'm saying the home city equals from, the away city equals to, and all that's getting excluded there is where they're the same, basically, the same city, so there's 0 travel time. I was tempted in this dataset to exclude these values beforehand, but if you notice, we've only got 28 rows excluded, and that's because there are a couple of teams in New York and I think a couple of teams in Los Angeles. So you can't actually exclude them before the join, otherwise we won't have that 0 data coming through. Would that matter though? Debatable. Not particularly too much, but I just wanted to keep it having 870 rows so we have a row for each game. And then we have to do this confusing thing, which I won't pretend to understand, where we take our conference, and if it's their own conference, they play 1.5 games. I don't really understand that, but I'm sure it's a sports thing. So we need to multiply that travel time by 1.5, whereas if it's in the opposing conference, they only play 1 game, so we leave the travel time as it is. And then it's just about aggregating that, so grouping on the home team, summing the travel time minutes, and then I've realised that I've actually left out a step, so let's do it now. I haven't brought back the information about each of the teams, so what I want to be doing is I want on the home team to join that to the team so that I have their conference and division there too. So I'm just going to get rid of that additional team field, and now my data is ready to be output. So hopefully that was all pretty intuitive and made sense to you. I still won't pretend to understand anything about basketball or sport really in general, but thank you very much for watching.